Listen, if you've been feeling insecure about your money lately, feeling triggered every time you go into the damn store because you feel stifled about what you can and can't buy, making you panic and worry with anxiety about whether or not you're going to be able to stay financially stable, then today's lunar energy update and tarot therapy session is for you. Hey love, welcome to another lunar energy update. We've got the full moon in Aquarius happening this Wednesday. So depending upon when you're watching this, it's in 2 days from now, or it's tomorrow, or it's today, depending upon when you're watching this, or it already happened. However, whatever, get it how you live, okay? Progress. The full moon in Aquarius is happening in the 6th degree, which is a Virgo degree. So we already got a lot of shit to unpack, okay? Now with this happening in Aquarius is the energy of I know. And so this energy emotionally is asking you, do you know what your freedom looks like specifically for you? Do you know what your sense of freedom and your expression of freedom looks like, feels like, is like specifically for you? This is also bringing into perspective your freedom to choose, as well as having money and a business or career that matches your values. Now, what's really interesting about this particular full moon happening in Aquarius is that it's in polarity to Leo. So it's happening on this axis, this energetic exchange, if you will, give and take of learning from one another, right? This axis of creativity and purpose. So where Leo is your confidence and your willpower to be spontaneous and to play and remain open-hearted even when things don't go according to planned or as you had hoped. This energy makes art out of any and all mediums available to it at any given moment. There's a particular freedom that you have to hold within yourself in order to be able to do that, which doesn't always come easily. That is the lesson that Leo is learning from Aquarius. Freedom to express, freedom to remain open-hearted even when things don't pan out, and freedom to be spontaneous even when everybody else is like, nah, that don't sound right, that don't look right, I don't know about that. Okay, like it's the freedom to be confident in yourself and embody a certain level of authentic integrity within the self. On the flip side of this, we have Aquarius, which is where the moon is right now, again in 6 degrees, which is a Virgo degree. We'll get to the Virgo aspect of things in a second. On this end of the polarity or the axis, the lesson is confidence. So having the confidence to freely express yourself. This includes your beliefs, your perspectives, your unique ways of viewing the world authentically, freely, and often at times in the midst of chaos, with the ability to stand alone where necessary. There's just a specific type of confidence and willpower one must access within themselves to truly be free and at peace with who the fuck they are. Now, during this full moon, the moon will also be in opposition to both the sun and Jupiter, happening in human design gate 31.5. So now you also have both of these planets sitting in Leo, also at 6 degrees, which is a Virgo degree. So here again, you are analyzing something specific. When it comes to the sun, you're looking at your willpower, your vitality, your purpose, and your identity. With Jupiter, you're looking at your philosophy, aka your beliefs, your values, your methods and pathways and portals to expansion, as well as long distance travel. Now, that long distance travel piece can be applied a myriad of ways, but stick with me. We gonna get that. So now gate 31 is the energy of influential leadership. So this is being empowered, or the act of being empowered in order to empower other people. So this is about the state of authentic confidence and trust that you have within yourself and who you are. So again, that element of long distance travel when it comes to the planet of Jupiter in relation to where the moon is right now. This is long distance travel in terms of metamorphosis, change, and transformation. The reason this is so key, so important and vital is because empowerment requires embodiment. It's that whole "it's in you, not on you" phrase and quote that people keep saying and you keep hearing people say on social media. Now, viewing this through the lens of gene key 31, so human design gate 31, gene key 31, is the emotional journey and energetic expression that takes you through or from the shadow frequency of arrogance to the gift frequency of leadership to the city frequency of humility. So this is arrogance in terms of controlling others with your word, leadership to to help yourself and others break out of your bond. And of course, humility in terms of understanding that you can never do anything wrong. Now, with the Sun and Jupiter being in gate 31.5, the fifth line expression is about assertive influence for brighter outcomes, which requires inner certainty. So this then becomes arrogance in terms of emotional manipulation versus emotional clarity and authentic communication. Then there's the realization and analyzing of your relationships, your business offers and business collaborations and partnerships, as well as your financial agreements and manifestations that have all been forged in manipulation, so that you can release them and let them go for the health or the benefit of your health and well-being. Now, in order for you to get the money, the business success, and the abundance that you keep trying to manifest, you have to release the need for control and instead focus on certainty and develop your capability, your capacity for certainty. Now, we talk about this all the time. Certainty is not you having all the answers. Certainty is actually a process. Specifically, it's your specific process for being able to figure out the answer in the moment that you need them. Anytime that you are always trying to have the answer and be ready with the answer, that's when you start dipping into anxiety and self-doubt, okay? Like, do yourself a favor. Now, the humility piece and understanding that you can never do anything wrong is simply about understanding that it's always a lesson and never a failure. It doesn't matter what the emotional experience, change, transformation, whatever is, you are always going to be either learning something, teaching something, or doing both. Either way, you need to understand that this is all contributing to your growth and helping you clear out pathways and carve out different avenues for you to get the money, have the business success, and manifest abundance. At the end of the day, this is all about you recognizing and understanding, being able to identify where you are doing the influencing and where you are being influenced, okay? And it's all happening from an emotional perspective because we are talking about the moon. Now, right now with this full moon, Lunar is in gate 41.4, and so that's located in the root center, and of course it's an Aquarius gate, or a gate that's in the energy of Aquarius. Hence Aquarius full moon. The reason that's important is because this is the energy of incessant pressure, or having the incessant pressure to feel something and or the desire to have new experiences. Now, with this gate being in the root center, this is the center of stress, where we experience stress for better or worse, right? Stress is good stress, but this is the center of stress, but it's also the center for momentum, for building and experiencing momentum. And so the shift here is using your imagination over fear. So getting out of your head in terms of fear and getting into your imagination instead. This is where the question of asking yourself what you can do or explore more of to give yourself more freedom, to have more freedom in your money, your business, your career, your the abundance that you want to experience and have more of. So this is freedom to be who you want, freedom to have what you want, freedom to do what you want. But perhaps most importantly, this is the freedom to choose what you want. Now, in the line 4 expression, gate 41.4, the fourth line expression of this is about examining your shortcomings, okay? Now, instead of turning that energy inward on yourself, you're just simply going to remember that the moon itself is in the 6th degree, which is a Virgo degree, and Virgo energy is all about analyzing for the sake of being healthy. And so this is examining your shortcomings to understand what is healthy for yourself and what is not. So now we are zooming in specifically on your sense of freedom here, okay? What is allowing you to feel and be free, right, versus what is not. And so we're looking at your imagination. So how much of your imagination, aka the stories that you are telling yourself about what is happening to you and what is or is not limiting your sense of freedom, how much of your imagination is real versus how much of it is a fantasy. This is also you being honest about your poor habits and their contribution or not to your money, your business success, and your ability to manifest abundance. Now, before you flip out on me, bad habits do not equal the moral meanings of good or bad that you are placing on or behind your specific actions and behaviors, okay? It's the truth of whether or not those same exact actions and behaviors actually allow you to live and be truthfully, authentically you. All right, so we also have Pluto retrograde in the fourth degree, which is a Cancer degree. So it's conjunct the moon. So we know that Pluto is a planet of change, transformation, and so many other things, okay? But with Pluto being in retrograde, the energy is reverted or inverted on it. inverted in on itself. I'm gonna get it out. So we're looking at the inner world, okay, but it's also sitting at a 4th degree, which is a Cancer degree, and Cancer is an energy that cares about emotional safety. So this is us looking at your sense of emotional safety and how it is changing the landscapes of your leadership and stewardship, for that matter, of your energy and your emotions when it comes to your money, your business, your relationships, as well as the abundance that you are manifesting. Then we also have Uranus trine the moon, happening also at 4 degrees, but it's happening in Gemini, and Gemini is that energy of I think. So these are your thoughts, but it's also your communication. And because we're talking about the moon, we are talking about the way that your emotions are communicated and the way that you think about the way that you feel. Again, we're talking about this happening in a 4th degree, which again is a Cancer degree. So this is all about emotional safety. And with a trine, or trine, however you want to pronounce it, this is the harmonious aspect, or the harmonious energy that you have working with you during this process, during this transit, to create more ease, luck, and opportunities as you go along. And so your key to navigating this is going to be leaning more so into curiosity, as opposed to leaning into overthinking and being overwhelmed. Now, for my habitual overthinkers, I get it. It's hard to stop overthinking sometimes. I'm right there with you, okay? So the trick for you is to shift your mindset into thinking, or overthinking, if you will, about what can go right. Specifically, overthinking what can go right in terms of what can give you more freedom, or what feels more freeing. So overthink that stuff, not the fear, not the self-doubt, not the anxiety. Quite literally here, using your imagination for curiosity instead of fear is how you are going to regulate your energy and your emotions during this particular transit and Aquarius full moon. This is what's going to get you out of the anxiety and self-doubt, so that more money, more success in your business and your relationships, etc., manifesting abundance and all of that is easier, and it can come in with much more ease. All right, my love, let's go ahead and dive into some tarot therapy and find out what the energy of money wants you to know this Aquarius full moon. All right, my love, welcome to our tarot therapy session for what does the energy of money want you to know. Already we've got the energy of focus and admiration here with rose quartz and fluorite, as well as imagine with opal. Now, I am going to tell you, and it's so funny because we just finished talking about the use of your imagination and having that awareness of whether or not your imagination is real, or the story that you're telling yourself is real, or if it's fantasy. Meaning, is it something that is keeping you imaginarily stuck? What's coming to mind is the 8 of Swords card, where you're essentially playing the victim when you aren't really tied up. Like your hands and everything are free, you can move, but you're pretending to be tied up, tied down, and unable to move, aka stuck. And I get it. It's kind of like being in a puddle of water, or in a body of water, not realizing that you can actually stand up and you're not drowning, right? At first glance, or at first experience of being in the water, it feels like you might drown or something like that. But when you stop panicking and stop being so anxious of the situation and things as they are happening and unfolding, you have the opportunity to calm down enough to realize that, hey, your feet actually touch the ground, and hey, you can actually stand up. Okay, so when we get into the dynamics of the karmic healing here, I'm gonna get it out. The false sense of self and the false sense of awareness, the misunderstanding that's happening here is that there's this energy that you are somehow being punished for something that your family has done, or something that an immediate parent or grandparent did or decided a long time ago for the family that you didn't have control of. Like, you didn't have a say so, is what keeps coming through. It's like the voice is being muted. Like, I keep seeing somebody sitting with both hands over their mouth, almost to indicate that they should be quiet, they should be seen and not heard type situation. But there's this undercurrent of energy here where you're feeling like you're being punished for something that was decided without your say so or without your input, or something that was out of your control. And again, that's a misconception. That's the story that you're telling yourself. So allow your imagination to run wild with what can go right and what you do have control over and what is working out for you, and the fact that you do have the freedom to choose for yourself despite what previous decisions have been made. And it's so funny because what comes to mind is our generation, the millennial generation, and how we are essentially kind of, for lack of a better phrase or better way to put this, stuck in limbo because of the decisions of the generation and the second to last generation before us, so our grandparents and our parents, and the way that everything was supposed to be set up to where you go to school, you get a job, and everything is supposed to work out that way. But unfortunately it didn't. It was all a gimmick, a scam, a lie, not real. And the state of the economy, the state of the millennial generation and the generations thereafter have essentially had to pay the price. And that's the energy that's coming through here with these two cards and where we are with focus and admiration. And so the energy of money is asking you to stop and actually appreciate and admire your freedom of choice. Okay, admire the opportunity or the fact that you have the freedom to choose differently for yourself, and that you're not responsible for carrying this baggage. You're not responsible for carrying the weight of those previous decisions, even if you were conditioned and taught to believe that those decisions and the emotional burdens that came along with those decisions were yours to carry, because they in fact were not. Okay, so what you need to understand going forward is that you are in control. You have the foresight, the creative power, the confidence, and the willpower to self-correct, if you will. So to give yourself a fighting chance and to essentially make things turn out differently for yourself. Now, I am going to tell you that your family is not going to agree, especially with this heart, this broken heart here. I don't know if you can see. You got a broken heart here, a hummingbird, and a needle. So you are essentially in this space where you have been trying to continuously patch up and hold together the family expectations and family dynamics of what you should and shouldn't be doing with money, for money, to have money, to keep money, to be financially stable, to be financially secure, right? And so being in this space where you're choosing to circulate your money differently than how other people think you should be able to do it. And what's coming through is borderline jealousy. I know that sounds weird, but it's not quite there energetically, but it is dreadfully close. Okay, but it's kind of like this envious energy of you being able to spend your money in ways that they cannot or have not been able to. It's kind of like and it's so sad to think about, but it's kind of like parents who see their children doing better than them, but they're upset because their child is doing better than them. Like, that's the whole point. Like, that's what's supposed to happen. Your child is supposed to do better than you. They're supposed to be a version of you 2.0. Like, they supposed to excel where you failed. You know what I'm saying? Type situation. But for you, and in this situation, it's a maternal energy. So a mother, a grandmother, whoever is that close to you and your money situation, or your sense of money and having it in financial security and things of that nature, they're seeing you be able to spend what they call in their eyes as frivolous, right? But it's not really frivolous. You have more freedom, and freedom to choose with how you spend your money, what you spend your money on. And it triggers them because that's something that was in their mind taken away from them. But here again, that's not your burden to bear, and it's not your responsibility to keep mending this wound for them. You heal the wound, you transmute the energy by staying in your power to choose, by exercising your willpower and confidence to choose, and having compassion with yourself for prioritizing yourself. Okay, because that's another issue here. The disconnect and the enviousness around the fact that you prioritize yourself, your well-being, your wants, needs, and desires, and you can actually fulfill them. Like, that triggers them something terribly, okay? Let's see. We then have a dynamic, which is, let's see what crystal is this. Oh, that's the one I was struggling to pronounce earlier. Vanadinite, okay? So the shift that needs to occur, especially when we look at the full picture here, it's actually going to be you tapping into the, how do I word this? The release of guilt around the fact that your goals and the things that you value are different than what they've taught you to value, what they've taught you to prioritize. So it's almost like there's this expectation of prioritizing the family and the needs of the family and of the goals of the family, right? Which from your perspective are bare minimum and basic, not in a disrespectful way, of course, but just you want more out of life, right? Like you crave to have more experience, more life, more fulfilling experiences, more joy, more out of life in general, right? Especially when it comes to money, and money is just a means to an end. It's one of your mediums that you are learning how to create that life with. And so the shift that's going to be required of you is honestly just for you to be dynamic in your approach to life and allowing the expectations of others and the what is the word here, the judgments of how you are choosing to live your life and move throughout life to not be about you, right? Because you know what you want, you know what you value, you know what's important to you and what you want to prioritize. But those things don't always align up with our family and their perceptions of us and the way that they view you. And honestly, this is a situation where the individual can't see past the person they have always wanted you to be versus the person and the woman that you have grown into being. Like, it's almost like you've in a way become untouchable or unrelatable, if you will, which essentially just translates into them not being able to control you anymore. They don't understand the person that you are and the way that you, or how you're able to move throughout life this way when they couldn't figure out how to do it. You see? So again, this really boils down to, in terms of shifting your perspective and shifting out of this state of anxiety and worrying about whether or not you're going to be able to stay financially stable. The energy of money is saying, hey, you're fine. You're good. You're golden. The only thing that you need to watch out for and be mindful of is your willpower to keep going and to not be stifled and stunted by the expectations and external goals that other people have and are putting on you. Okay? So let's go ahead and pull some tarot cards for you and see what's happening here, so we can get some additional detail about where things are headed for you. This particular deck I haven't broken in quite yet, so it's a little harder to shuffle, but bear with me. That and the decks are kind of big too. My hand's a little small, but it is what it is. It's fine. Okay, but yeah. So honestly, and I get it. It can be a bit challenging. Let's see. Gang of cards. Look at there. The Fool. Okay. It felt like I had more than one card in my hand. So we got the Fool. Okay. Nope. Nah, I can't pick it up. Okay. So we got the Fool. The King of Swords. Yeah. That's exactly what that is. It's like you're reminding them of who they had the potential to become or who they could have been, but they chose wrong. In their eyes, they chose wrong, right? Like you can never choose wrong, because you either learn something or you grow and succeed and go to the next level, right? But always a lesson, never a failure. Like we was talking about in the lunar energy update, I progress. But that's exactly what the problem is here. When they see you and they see how you're moving with money, there's different things that you're able to purchase, and the experiences that you're able to go and have, and how resourced you are, financially resourced you are. It triggers a truth in them. I'm gonna get it out. It triggers a truth in them that they didn't make the decisions that they could have made to get them to the same place. Okay, but this is not your fault. Your focus, the energy of money, is saying to focus on your own willpower and your own confidence in who you are, in what you've created for yourself, and the stability that you are continuing to build and secure within your own way of being, within your own life, especially with the Fool coming out here. Okay, this is a new experience for your bloodline. This is a new experience and new way of being to pretty much all of the people that are around you. And so you are essentially the example. It's just that sometimes when you are the example, you are also the trigger. But change cannot occur without friction. Human Design Gate 6 teaches us that. Okay, growth cannot occur, change cannot occur without friction. And the friction here is simply truth. But that's out of your control. That you can't help that you made different decisions that led to this financially secure and stable life, and that they didn't. They did the best with what they had, with what they knew at the time, and that's all you're doing as well. It's just the end results of you doing the same thing look different and turned out better, which is a plus. It's good. But from their perspective, it's almost like, why her and not me? You see what I'm saying? But here again, that's not your burden to carry. Focus on what you can do and what you are doing for yourself, and releasing the guilt around being able to choose and having that freedom to choose. We've also got Temperance. Okay, so this is Celestite. Listen, don't be laughing at me now. We got Celestite, so Temperance, which is all about patience. And look at there, the 10 of Cups, Spirit Quartz. Okay, in the end, there is behind all of the envy, behind all of the triggerness, right? There is a sense of pride that will never ever be expressed. And if it is expressed, it'll be towards the end of the days, if you get what I'm saying. Okay, but there is a underlying sense of pride that somebody was able to do it, but there's the anger is outweighing that sense of happiness, joy, and pride, because they feel like they should have had access to it too, not realizing that they could have access to it too, and at one point probably did, assuming the relationship between you two is not shot to hell. Okay, but not realizing that just because it's not them directly doesn't mean that they don't have access to the same happiness, joy, and experience of financial stability and security. It's just coming from a different path, a different vessel, and you just so happen to be the vessel. But again, this is assuming the relationship between the two of you has not been shot to hell. Okay? But a lot of times, and in this instance, again, another reason why it's so important for you to release that guilt and shame around how you move through life and how you handle your money and stuff like that is because it's still their lesson to learn. You're teaching them what's possible. You're teaching them of different ways to be, and you're empowering them to think, act, behave, and choose differently. They just have to find their own willpower and confidence in order to be able to do so. And a lot of times it's not as simple as just observing somebody else do the same and being curious, right? Which is pretty much how you got to where you were. You leaned more into curiosity. For them, that sense of curiosity, or that freedom to be curious and lean into curiosity, wasn't available in the same way. Okay? And that's, again, not your fault, but it is impacting the way that they are interacting with you, and impacting your emotional safety with the individual. Okay? All of this is about self-awareness, so you can go through and decide. And look at that, we've got the King of Wands chilling on the top of the deck. Okay? So that you can go through and essentially clean house. Remember the polarity that's happening here, the give and take that you're learning, that Aquarius energy is learning from Leo and Leo from Aquarius. Is all about creativity and purpose. And so this is, again, about how your sense of emotional safety is changing and updating the landscape of your relationships, and the way that you steward your energy and emotions in those relationships, your money, your business, and wherever in your process of manifesting abundance you're in. Like, this is all about elevating your leadership and stewardship of your energy and emotions, so that more money can come in, the financial stability can be even more secure, and start to trickle over and bless others in ways that you didn't even know were possible, because you're secure. That's what the energy of money wants you to know, that you are secure. Okay? That's King of Wands energy all day. Like, that's a done deal. But you can't keep feeling guilty for other people's choices and decisions that they made for themselves. It's not your fault. It's not your burden to bear that you had the freedom to choose differently. And to be honest, the only reason you had the freedom to choose differently was because they made the decisions that they made, for better or for worse. You observed them and you learned from it. You still would have ended up at the same result regardless, even if they had have chosen differently, because all you were doing was observing. So even if they had made different choices and ended up where you are now, you still would have had that example to be led by. It just so happens that you saw the example and learned to do something different. That's all. All right, we're going to get 1 or 2 more cards, because we're about 20-something minutes in. So, let's see. Being led to a different deck. Bear with me just a second. This one is the Animal Apothecary by Kara Elizabeth, looks like. Yeah. Now these, I should be able to shuffle better. Now, don't judge me if I don't shuffle it better. But I can handle these easier in my hand, with the size of my hands, I should say. If I can hold it. Look at there. Let go and bury. Okay? That's what the energy of money is asking you to do, to let it go, release this burden, and live your happy ending, live your happy life. And stop allowing the envy and guilt and expectations to weigh you down. Those are not yours. That's not your emotions and energy to carry. That's not yours. Put that shit down. Okay? All right, my love, if you need help letting go and releasing that guilt so you can have the emotional safety necessary to get your money and keep your money, book the Energy Audit. It's my cosmic boundary blueprint, and it's available for you in the description box below. All right, my love. See you in the next one. Bye.